And welcome to another edition of BCSN Sports Flash. Greg Franke here with a chance to catch up to one of the outstanding tennis players that have ever come through Northwest Ohio, Kennedy Shaffer, and she's going to have a chance to maybe accomplish some great things in the future, and we expect that that'll be the case. But I'll never forget when we first met. I think you were going into 8th grade, and there was this City of Toledo tennis tournament, and you were playing against all these pretty accomplished college players and junior players, and ended up winning the tournament. And I thought, wow, this is somebody who could go some places, and it certainly turned out to be the case. And now you're playing at Georgia, one of the very top college programs in the country, and doing a lot of things individually as well. We want to talk about all those things, but glad to have you here with us tonight.
Thank you so much.
Too bad that our BCSN tennis clinic got washed out by the rain inundation, because it would have been great having you work with the kids out there.
It would have been a great experience. I'm kind of extremely upset that that didn't go as planned.
Well, hey, there's always next year unless you're on the tour somewhere or whatever. But you know, picking things up from that first time when we met, and you played a year at St. Ursula, your freshman year, and finished 3rd in the state, I believe, that year, and pretty sure you could have gone higher had you stayed, but you ended up playing a couple of years at a tennis academy, and now you're at Georgia, even though really you would have just been a high school graduate. So you've done a lot of things in a relatively brief period of time.
It feels like it hasn't been as long as it really has, but when I look back at things, like, I feel so much more grown up than just 18, you know. I've been away from home for so many years, and you're right, I've done a lot of things, so it's strange now thinking that I'm in college and I would just be a high school graduate.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about some of the things. You were played at Georgia and were very successful this past year, and a big tournament you're going to be entering soon with a chance for some really big opportunities that could be associated with that. But first I want to go back in time, because I've heard a lot of people say, and you even corroborated this, that you won this Toledo tournament and you were going into 8th grade, but not too much time before that you weren't really even all that successful.
I was definitely not. I was not a player who peaked when I was 10, 11, 12. I actually really struggled. I got beat on a consistent basis by, I want to say, about 95% of Northwest Ohio. I was not very good.
Yeah. Well, more than one person said, I hope you go all the way and win the Grand Slam so I can say I beat the girl that won the Grand Slam. What do you think was most important in causing the turnabout? So you went from just not being all that successful to within a couple of years beating really good college-level players.
I think I made a decision about what I wanted to do, and I started to commit to that. But more than anything, it was I started to find that line, you know, how different levels are separated by different skills that you learn and everything. And I started to find that line, and I started to find people who wanted to help me reach my goals. So as I mentioned before, like, I think the biggest turnaround in my game was really when I started working with my coach, Anna, who's been my coach for 5 years. But you have to find the right person, you have to have the right attitude, and you have to know what you want. And I think that was the biggest thing for me, is I made the decision, and we went and started chasing the dream. That's about it. Yeah,
Anna's here with us today watching this, as a matter of fact, and we had quite a discussion about the things that are required outside of ability to really be successful in professional tennis.
Yeah, I think she gets it. She knows that it's the fitness and it's the mental and it's the tennis. It's just so many things rolled into one, and then of course it's the diet. You know, it's everything, and it's so important to have somebody who wants to be on that journey with you. And I am beyond fortunate enough to have that person, and she has made the world of difference in myself as a person and myself as a player.
Yeah, I know it was a little bit of a disappointment for you to leave St. Ursula. You didn't get a chance to win a state championship, and you left a lot of really good friends and all that, but you ended up pursuing the tennis dream, and you went a couple of years in an academy, I believe in South Carolina. There were a couple different ones that you went to. How did you find that time? Did it really help your game, preparing you to get to the Georgia program?
I think so. I was at a couple different places, so I think each place had a little bit of an influence on me. And I think down south especially, you've got some tougher climates, so I think that really helps you get in better shape. And I had the ability to hit with better people, and I was with people who all kind of wanted the same thing, and that was to succeed in tennis. So when you're with a group of people who are all focusing on the same goal, it's easier to achieve it, because, you know, there's not too many people that can stray you off the path. And it was sad leaving St. Ursula and Mary Kay, who has always been so close to my family, but again, it comes back to that decision. It was what I wanted, and it got easier because I had Anna with me and my family supported me, and that was something that really made me comfortable with leaving.
It's always hard, but sometimes to follow the dream, you have to do that. You have to make those sacrifices. Now, Georgia, how did you end up going there? I'm sure there were a lot of schools that would have loved to have had your services.
I actually wasn't even looking at Georgia, to be honest. I wasn't even considering anything in the state. So when they found me, I paid attention to every school because every offer is like, it's a wow thing. You don't really get used to it. But I was looking Southern California, you know, Duke, which is always, it's a dream school because it's Duke. But the coaches were a really big part of my decision. So when I was speaking to coaches, the two at Georgia, which are still the current coaches, Jeff and Drake, they were my absolute favorite. They were really open and really friendly, and they were willing to communicate with Anna, which, again, she's not the coach of the college, but she's the main part of my life. So if they're not going to incorporate her in, then I didn't really want anything to do with the school. So they were willing to reach out to my parents, and they were really committed to following my results and following me and making sure everything was good, and the team reached out. So it ended up being a deceptively perfect fit for a choice I never really thought I was going to make.
It may not be Southern California, but it is a warmer climate around here, so that was probably to the advantage too. You had a great year with them. You got into the NCAA team tournament. You won a very important match for them that helped them do that, and you qualified, keeping in mind that you were the age still of a high school student. You qualified for the individual NCAA tournament, which you had to withdraw from due to an injury, but nonetheless, that's quite an accomplishment for someone who had basically only been in the program since halfway through the year. It
was my goal going in. It kind of set a goal for each place I ended up going. So when I went to St. Ursula, my goal was to win states, and unfortunately it didn't happen this way. And so then when I came into Georgia, my goal was to make individuals my freshman year and from every year out. And I also wanted to be an All-American. You know, you just set these little milestones for yourself to keep you on track to accomplish your goals. But I was unfortunate enough to not be able to participate. But then again, like, I'm trying to give myself a little bit of credit there and say, okay, you made it, and you have 3 more years to do whatever you want to do, and there's time. But it's one goal that I can check off for now.
I would say qualifying for that tournament certainly qualifies for a little bit of of satisfaction, certainly. But coming up, you've got a really big opportunity in a junior national tournament coming up, where if you could win that tournament, the rewards would be great. What is that you're training for right now? I'm
training for the USTA National Hardcore Championships. It's out in San Diego, California, and it's probably going to be one of my last junior tournaments. It's a really big deal, and it's a really, really fun tournament. It's a great experience. The winner gets into the main draw of the U.S. Open, so, you know, all the top players are going to play. They're all going to try and win it, but nonetheless, like, it's a great tournament for people who want to get recruited or people who just want to be playing at the highest level, which is what I'm going in. I have my college picked. I'm set. I just want to go in and obviously chase the wild card. The Open is the main goal, but you can never bank on that. Yeah. You have to plan for other things, but that's the dream going in for everybody, really.
And the runner-up qualifies for the U.S. Junior Open Championship. So if she wins this tournament, you'll be seeing her on TV quite possibly in the U.S. Open coming up. What do you think it'll take against that level of competition to really think seriously about winning it? What are you going to have to be able to accomplish to fulfill that goal?
I think it takes a really high level of commitment to the diet, the fitness, the practice, and even to your sleep and the amount of water you drink. It's like, it's a 24/7 commitment that you always have to be conscious of. And it's not easy, but I'm trying to keep myself on track as best as I possibly can, and it's just going to require a healthy body, a healthy mind, and the ability to, you know, forget about what doesn't go your way. Even if you can get through, like, each match is a stepping stone, and you have to take it that way. Even if you don't end up winning the tournament, you're taking stepping stones to an even bigger future.
And even if you do all those things, you need a little bit of luck too, which you can't really control.
You just got to pray that things go your way, even if it's just once at like a key time. It would be so helpful.
Yeah. You know, what would you say to a lot of kids? They think they grow up wanting to be pro athletes and all these kind of have these big dreams, but you've actually experienced a lot of what it takes to get to that point and the sacrifices that are required. What would you say to a young person who had some ability and they said, that's my goal? What would you tell them?
If you love it, it's not really a sacrifice. There's not many people who get to do, I don't want this to sound arrogant, but there's not many people that get to do what I do, who get to get up and play every day as healthy as I can and give my best effort and have people around me who want me to succeed and push me to my limits. It's not every day that everybody gets to do that. So it's a blessing in itself, and I would say take every day and train like it's your last, because you know what, it could be. And that's so cliche, but you really do never know. And so if you're lucky enough to compete, then you should always be competing with your heart and all of it.
You got talent, but you have to have the willingness to do all of that too. And if you do those two things, there's no limit to what you can accomplish. Hopefully there'll be no limit to what you'll accomplish going forward. And we'll say your Northwest Ohio zone. Glad to have you back here again.
Thank you so much.
Kennedy Shaffer from the Georgia Bulldog tennis program, and hopefully we'll be seeing her sometime not too distant future in the U.S. Open and other major professional tennis events. And that'll do it for tonight. Greg Franke for BCSN Sports Flash.